back to the Unleashing. It's been a good while since I've made a video. And to sum things up, this last year has been interesting. I needed a serious break, and spiritually wise, I haven't had the energy to do it. I've been completely exhausted, and I've been praying for a recoup in my strength and ability to do it, and I haven't found it. Except last night, when I was praying, about 10 o'clock, it kind of came on, and I've had a desire to make a video all day, and it hasn't gone away. I really feel like it's God pushing it. I've been praying about it a long time if He wants me to make any more videos, and honestly, I had prayed last year that I wouldn't be doing it anymore. It's been exhausting. I feel like most of the work's been fruitless in reaching people, and any of my desires to create legendary Christians has kind of fallen flat. But through all of this, I've had a nudging the whole time that He still wants me to talk. So I'm going to do my best to try and do that right now, the best that I can. And right now, I mean, this is the first time that I've actually felt it, and I've tried a few times over the last year, and it's not gone anywhere. This is the first time where I felt that it is, and I can only thank God for that. But there's lots of things to discuss. It's New Year, Happy New Year, everybody. I have quite a few stories and different events and things, new knowledge that's come to me, and different experiences, as well as operations that I was sent on to go talk to people that have happened this last year. I'll be bringing those stories up if the videos continue on, and Lord willing, if God wants me to. But today, I just wanted to kind of go over a few different topics as we enter this new year. Timelines, where we are, and some things in my heart that I feel like God wants me to share with everybody. So I'm going to do that, and just kind of keep it simple today for this video. But I guess to start off, let me share a couple of dreams that I've had. Last year, right before Christmas, 7 days before Christmas, I had a rapture dream. All right, I never shared it or anything like that. In this dream, I'm in a building with some people, and we hear the trumpets in the sky. It's at night, and we all race outside to see what's going on, and we know that it's God, right? And we feel like it's the rapture. It's taking place at that moment. And as we're looking up, we see movement in the sky, like God's riding on a horse, right? But it's really fast, and nobody can make anything out, but we hear this trumpet, and we're all looking around and excited. And then the dream shifts from that point to three different categories. There's people that are inside a building. There are people that my little brother are with around a corner in a distant spot. And there's a group with me. And as this happens, there's a circle in the sky that's taking place. It looks like bubbles of some sort. And it's making a circle. And none of us know what's going on, but I'm saying this is the rapture. It's happening right now. And the moment that is said, there are people inside of my group that start to say, no, it's not happening right now. Oh, we don't want it to happen right now, which are among this congregation of Christians. And instantly I notice that these ones that are like that are tatted. They have sleeves on their arm, all right? And they're showing their true colors, right? They've been mixing with this group of Christians, of believers that say they want God to come back, but when the moment is actually happening, we think that it is. They start praying that it's not. They don't want it to happen, and they're wanting more time, right? So this scene ends, and people from inside the building come out, a preacher, and from the other group that's around the corner, and they come up and they said, you know, we really saw people's true colors when we thought this was going down. They really stood out. I'm like, yeah, they did. It was completely obvious where they stood in their hearts, and they didn't want it to. The representation was three different categories of people. Not only was I leading a group of my own, that showed that they didn't want God's return. They weren't ready for it. But also inside the building, which I believe is representing of the church building itself. And the other group that was around the corner, distant churches in other areas around the world or wherever, but they all had them. All of us inside these different congregations had these people, and they're representative of these tattoos, these sleeves. And I knew what it meant in my mind, especially in the dream. I've always looked at it for people that are all tatted up and stuff like that, that are Christians. A lot of them have done this to have their loyalty in the world, all right, while at the same time walking as a Christian. And even though there are plenty of people that have tattoos and have walked away from that lifestyle and are totally saved and going, that was the representation in this dream, and I thought it was very interesting. The dream continues on to the next scene, and it's the next morning. And I'm talking with my brother on the back of a tailgate of a truck. It's sunny out. And we're like, why didn't God come last night? I don't understand. Was it a timeline? Did it mean 7 more days, 7 more weeks, 7 more months or something? I just don't know. But it was some kind of warning, and I don't know what it was. And the dream ends there from what I can remember. Well, Christmas happens 7 days later. Last year, it was in 2022, when this dream was happening. And that following day, I saw, when I opened up the news, it was showing whales. I've never seen this before in my life, but it was showing humpback whales. And that sign that I saw that looked like bubbles in the sky when Jesus was there was something that the humpback whales were doing when they were catching their baleen or whatever. They'll blow bubbles in a circle, and it'll trap their prey or whatever that they need. And then they can grab it, right? They can get it or whatever else. And I've never seen that before. And I realized when I saw that 8 days later, which is interesting because in the dream I said, what is this, a sign that there's like 7 days or a week or 7 months left? It was 7 days after that, and on the 8th day that morning is when I saw that in the news, and I thought it was very interesting, and that the whales were using that as a kind of a trap to separate their food or whatever and grab it, right? And I think that that's exactly what it was meant to represent, that in the dream, that God is using that during this time right now to pull the people that are His closer, separate them from the rest of the world, and get them ready to be taken out, which is what was shown with the whales. And it's kind of interesting how He uses dreams in that different way and stuff like that, but I believe that is the meaning. Interesting enough, in 2023, I've lost several friends and people that I've had to step away from, including family members and things like that, where God's just pulling me away, and it's not part of it anymore. And I know what it means, and I've shared it with Dustin and another one of my friends, Chris, that what is happening when he's doing this is like the speaking of the virgins, right? And the oil that they had, and how the ones that are traveling with them, they didn't have enough and they wanted to go back. It's getting into a time where things are so difficult, and it's hard enough just to hold on for yourself. But the things that have held you back, or people that hold you down that you've been walking with for a while that might be Christians and stuff like that, God separated me. He's separated me from a lot of that stuff, and He's pulled me out of it, because honestly, I don't have the strength to deal with that anymore, or at this time, or anything like that. And I really feel like that it's all part of the separation, these calling out those that are His and preparing them for what's going to take place. And anyways, I never shared that last year. I felt like He's wanted me to the whole time, but I was kind of pissed off, and I didn't want to make any videos. And so I've kind of held back. So I feel like that was kind of the first thing that I needed to talk about. I left North Idaho last year in January after praying about it. I let it go. I've held on to it for a very long time, and I felt like I was being moved out of there. And I used the opportunity after talking to God to go talk to a few more people and reach them and stuff like that, around the whole U.S. And that's what I kind of went out and did. And God opened the door for all that. I'm right now, I don't really know what direction He's planning on moving me, but I've hit up everybody that I can think of, and I'll share that story with you guys in one of these videos and stuff like that. It's pretty amazing. But what I wanted to get into is, let me get a drink of water real fast. What I wanted to get into is the proverb in the Bible that speaks where Jesus says, But watch ye therefore, for if I come in the first watch or the second watch or the third, be ready, and don't go back to your life beating your manservant or whatever else, because I might come in the fourth watch or whatever else. All right, this is a period of time. Nobody's going back to beating their manservant or their servants or back in the world in one night. All right, that's not what it means. It's a representation of a timeline. All right, I believe that this timeline has been transpiring since as early as possibly 2014, 2017, all right? And we're moving into it as we go towards 2028, all right? And these watches, these quarterly watches that he can come in have been actually open the entire time for his return, but he's been holding off. It wasn't ready. He's watching it. When you create intelligence where it gets to choose consciousness, what it's doing, that becomes live data. And locking down when he's coming back at a certain time becomes impossible, all right? The only way is for him to calculate the data, why it's live, why each person is making those conscious decisions worldwide and watching it. And at that moment that only he sees and he can deduct that it's the absolute best time to do it, then he'll grab it on. That's why you cannot lock it down, all right? But I feel like that these quarterly watches that he's been able to come the entire time, but he has pushed it back now to the last quarter, the fourth watch basically, that we're in. And this timeline that I'm looking at here that looks like this, I would say would be from this year 2025 into spring of 2026. People don't want to hear that. I understand that's very difficult, and we want to get out of here without any trouble or anything like that. But you know, we don't always get to hide from that, and trouble might come. But those are walking with the Lord, you know. He'll protect him, he'll watch over him, he'll move them in the ways that they need to. And nothing gets people's attention like trouble or going through hardships and hard times, all right? We may see the end of America the way that we know it. It might go third world country, but still be hanging on a little bit before he comes back. We just don't know what's going to happen. The reason I say 2026 is the last time in this time is we're moving into 2028. I believe that everything he said that would take place during that generation of Israel that we've looked at and put as an end date for the return of the Lord, at his second coming after the rapture and after we're gone 7 years, we've obviously pushed way past that. Or now the only way that that would still make some sense, possibly as like a last date, would be actually 2033, 2,000 years directly from the death and resurrection of Jesus Christ, all right? And that would be the end date time. This would push up to another idea that people have had, that just possibly 2030 has never been the elite's end time goal, but the midpoint when they want to put the Antichrist into the temple for the Jews, all right? Things would have to take place for this to go down this timeline, though. And never forget the Deagle report that's been out since 2012 or so, where they say that the U.S.'s population and the Earth's population is down, but the U.S. is down by about 80 to 70% by 2025. They're planning big things to happen, and like you say, hardship like this gets people's attention to turn to God, all right? And sometimes we might have to go through that, especially if God's watching this in live data and he feels like that that's going to be best, because he's constantly looking to save as many people as he possibly can, all right? But I believe that we're in a window right now, basically the last quarter of this, where it could be this year, it could be 2025, or it could be pushed all the way up to 2026. If it does, though, I think things are going to be really, really rough, all right? And the only way that things are going to be, you're going to make it, is if you're holding on to God, because it's going to be tough times, right? Now, I don't know if that's going to happen exactly, but I do know in my rapture vision, when I was shown it, when I was in 2014, it was not a good mood that I was in. I was in a terrible mood, and things were tough. I was in a line in a store trying to get supplies and stuff like that for whatever reason. And then I looked out the window, and as you guys know from there, I saw the UFOs come down uncloaked. I said, oh, great, now this. And then the rapture happened, and I got blasted up. It was a springtime, early summertime event when it happened. That's never changed. And it was the real thing I experienced. I experienced the joy and stuff like that, and I had it for weeks and weeks after that time. It was incredible until it started to fade away. You've heard it before from people that go to heaven or have had heaven encounters where they have that joy or the memories and stuff like that, and then over time where they're back, it starts to fade away. It's the same way that happened with me. I had that joy for days and days, and it started to fade. I'd have to think about it until finally I didn't have it anymore. But why I experienced it was the most amazing thing I've ever experienced experienced in my life. Truly incredible. All right. But the whole point of this is that I want to bring this up because you might have to be ready for some hard times that we're going through. And it's never been called that we don't go through hard times as Christians. I mean, that's when it happens. But during hard times is when the church, the real church, people that love God, step out and they realize the only way that they're going to make it is with Him. All right? And God might be calling for that to happen, to pull people that are on the bench, that have backslidden, that are weak in the faith, or don't want to, or aren't taking this serious, and they're hoping for good times so they can get back into the world because they don't want God's return just yet. All right, He's making this up, and for His appointment on what He wants to do. It has nothing to do with what we want. So if He decides that that's best, then He may do it. And it's a warning I just want to give to you guys, and I feel like that He's put that on my heart now for several months, and I've thought about that we might push into this a little bit longer than I ever expected. And I don't think that anybody has been wrong the entire time in whether they've been told or thinking that God's coming back. We are in that window, but I think we've been looking at this as a certain time, and I think it's always been a quarterly watch where there's 4 different sections of this period of time right now since 2017 or 2018, 10 years or whatever, between Israel becoming, or it's gone 70 years since they became a nation, all the way up to 80 years by strength. I think that this last part can be split into 4 sections, and He's been able to come any of the times. And of course, why did He tell us or point this out that He would come in the last and beginning? So that we don't go to sleep, that we don't sit down, so that we're always ready, that we're watching. He doesn't like us to be stagnant. And if you know that He's coming in the 4th watch, but He says that He could come in the 1st watch, but you know that He's secretly coming in the 4th, we'll just go back to sleep and do what we want, and I'll get serious when it comes to the 4th. He's never wanted that. He doesn't want us to be like that. And for that reason, He doesn't tell us. But I'm telling you, we're getting up to the lines of this stuff where things are going to be taking place, and they have to take place. And you can watch them unfolding as the forces of darkness are getting ready to make their moves. And it's being shown. It's being shown exactly for what it is. And it's not looking like things are going to be good. I mean, they have to make moves here very soon. And God's watching the whole thing, and I believe that He's been buying us time the whole time, which we can be thankful for because He knows the best. And like I say, He's watching this as live data. If He decides that He can get more people by waiting to those last moments and sending through some hardship. I mean, America needs the biggest wake up of all. We're totally asleep here. It's pathetic, and the churches need to wake up. They're dens of evil, false doctrines, being asleep. They have no comprehension that how close this stuff is going to be. They think it's years off. They're being preached to that Revelations doesn't apply to them, that they made a prayer once so that it won't even matter if it were going to happen because they're going. The once saved, always saved doctrine. There's so many dangerous things out there, and none of them are true. And, the church is not in a good place right now, and it might need this as a wake-up call, and if God decides that's best, then that might be what He does. But we also have the hope that it could be as early as possibly this spring. We just don't know. As you know, that eclipse that marks the next over the U.S. Comes to its finality there, April 8th, coming up this year. Big things could happen with that, but I totally think that that's a countdown of sorts. I have heard of the guy that was counting down the days. It's not 7 years exactly. It's like 6 years, 6 months, 6 days, 6 hours, all right? And all that stuff is designed to get our attention, especially if Christians are watching. The world might not be paying attention to that, but when you start hearing numbers like that and certain things, or where the eclipse is going over 7 Salems before it leaves the U.S., all those are designed to get our attention. Be like, whoa, is God sending us a sign here? Is He pointing to something? And we're supposed to be watching, especially in the last hours that we know that we're in. So these are just a few things that I wanted to share. I want you to think about and prepare for. You're not to be afraid or anything like that, but if we're going through any sort of season where we need to buckle down and stay strong, not just for ourselves, but so others that might need to hear about God or whatever, when they see this stuff coming and they just want to faint, then that becomes our responsibility to do. And that's all I really can say on that. That becomes each individual's responsibility. So like I say, this is just a couple things that I wanted to share that I feel like He's given me revelation to over this last year, and I've really thought about it quite a bit. And like I say, we can't lock down a date, but we can also have that hope that it could be as early as this spring, or it could be next spring. in 2025, or we may push all the way up to 2026. I don't see it going past that point, because once you do 7 years from them, starts to become past 2033. We're actually past 2,000 years since Christ was crucified and resurrected, all right? And that's pushing to a timeline that's like even over 6,000 years before starting the millennial reign. So, as of right now, unless I were to see something else, I put that kind of as like a backstop, in this whole thing. And it all fits within the 2028, 80 years by strength prophecy that all these things would be seen. So it would also fit right in that. And what he would be referencing is all this stuff would come to a closing and be prepared. Another thing is by pushing it back a little bit further like that, like the timeline I'm talking about, it would open the door for this Gog and Magog attack to happen in Israel, and Israel to burn their weapons. The reason I say this is because it says that they burn them and they're able to use them as fuel for 7 years. But we know halfway through the tribulation, when the Antichrist goes into the temple, they flee to Petra. So will they still be burning in the same spot? Not necessarily. It might be done with right then. But if it starts 3.5 years before the tribulation actually starts, so let's say maybe the spring the Gog and Magog attack would happen, it would give it time for them to burn 3.5 years before the tribulation starts, 3.5 years into the tribulation, that's 7 years they burn the weapons for, and then halfway through the tribulation when they flee, that's done with. All right, so it's just another idea of why I say that this might line up with a timeline that's a little bit further than what any of us hope or what we're looking for, and it actually might be pushed back a little bit, and we need to be ready for anything. So anyways, I just wanted to share that. Happy New Year to everybody, and maybe this message helps some people, I'm not sure. But I'm going to, while I can, put out videos if God has given me renewed strength in this matter to do this, and talk about some different things and things that he wants to me to share, and some of the other stuff that's happened over the past year that I can talk about and stuff, and I will if I can. So I need internet, and I need a place to do that in, so that has to be right too, because right now still don't really have a house or anything like that. I've been fortunate enough to stay with a friend, but I feel like God's moving me out of that situation, and I don't know where I'm going to be going to next. So whatever he has planned for me, like I say, just pray that the door's open for me so that I can talk and stuff like that, because I know a lot of you guys asked me to, and honestly I haven't been able to for a year. I really needed a break spiritually, and my soul needed some serious rest in the whole matter, and so I needed to do that. Otherwise, I wouldn't have been able to bring you messages. It wouldn't have been good in the first place. But I'm going to try again right now. We'll see how it goes. So anyways, I just wanted to share these things with you guys, and say Happy New Year, and be prepared if you have to buckle down with any of this stuff. We always look for his return, but there's a possibility it might be pushed back a little bit longer, or there's always a possibility that he'll get us out of here sooner than we think, and that's always something to be hopeful for. So keep that with your encouragement, all right? God bless. I'll talk to you next time on The Unleashing. Bye.